Today, I am joined with Scott, Kelly, and Michael, and they're going to go over the whole story about the Go Box Challenge. So let's get to it on Take Radio! So play that awesome intro video! A quick shout out to all my Patreons who makes the show possible. You can support me by joining Patreon in the link below. And on to Take Radio. Thank you, Scott, Kelly, and Michael, to swinging by after the challenge here. I just wanted to gather y'all together and just kind of get the backstory on how did the Go Box Challenge come about?
Well,
Scott, why don't you take that one?
Well, it started at a Whataburger, and that should tell you a lot about ham radio operators right there. It was after a meeting, and there were several of us that were kind of jumping around on an idea that we had, and we were sitting at Whataburger. I think it had to be about 10, 11 o'clock at night. So mass food had been consumed, several Dr. Peppers in Kelly's case, Diet Cokes on mine. But basically, I don't have a Go Kit, and neither did Kelly. And we're just kind of like, how do you go about building a Go Kit? And something was said about, well, it'd be really cool if we could see everybody else's Go Kit and kind of get an idea from. Well, it kind of turned into something from there. And this is fun because, you don't have to make an awful lot of effort to get ham radio operators to bring out the radios. Mm-hmm. That's the God honest truth. And that's really the complete backstory. There had been some effort to kind of get out and show some radios and vehicles prior to that kind of led up to some of the thinking of it. I don't know. Did I miss anything there, Kelly?
No, that's pretty much it. Neither one of us had Go Kits. We were talking about that. And I said, man, I'd like to see everybody else's Go Kit. Let's make a contest. Let's have an event where everybody can bring their Go Kits out. And in a matter of about a month and a half, I had gotten a club to support it that would give it their backing. And basically I contacted the City of Denton Parks Department. I said, hey, this is what I want to do. We've used this pavilion before as an organization. Want to see if we can get it again for a few hours, and set it up for a Saturday morning. And we just threw it out there and said, hey, here's what we're going to do. There's going to be prizes, and we'll see where it goes from there. There wasn't a whole lot of real serious preparation that went into it other than publicizing it. And we scratched together a couple of gifts and door prizes. That first year, I was kind of poking fun at the idea of everybody gets a trophy. So I printed out a whole bunch of certificates that was very much tongue-in-cheek. Thank you for participating. This is what you get for showing up. And that was the first year. And we had a really good time. And the funny thing is, it was chilly. It was rainy that day.
I had pneumonia.
And so, and Scott decided to get pneumonia right before the event. So it all kind of, that first one fell on my shoulders, and it was just a lot of fun. The guys had a really good time. Each individual person explained, we all kind of went as a group from one kit to the next. And the person that built it explained why they did what they did or what they were planning to do, because not all of the kits were 100% complete. Mm-hmm. And that was another thing we told them. Doesn't matter if it's all finished. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. Yep. What matters is that you bring it out and we can all learn from it. And so it was everything from you telling us what you wanted to do, guys tossing ideas. Hey, what if you did this? What if you changed this? You move this over here and you've got more space for something else here. And it was just a really fun event. So the next year we one of the things that Scott and I, the competition is really kind of a very low-key competition. It's bragging rights pretty much, and then the Hamburg Cup was created later. But one of the things Scott and I initially wanted was we didn't want it to belong to a single organization. We wanted to take this event from club to club, because ham radio is such a huge hobby, and different clubs have different ideas. Different guys from different parts of the Metroplex have different ideas, or different parts of the section have different ideas. Another thing that we want to do is we want to take it to where clubs outside the Metroplex, maybe out into West Texas, into Wise County, or down into Johnson County, and bring some of these other more rural clubs a little bit more let them network with other ham radio operators so that they can build their organization and learn how does a different club work and those kind of things. So really, we want to use this as an opportunity to build ham radio in general, not necessarily just build a single organization or a single club.
Michael, how many of these competitions or challenges have you gone to? Because I heard you've been to several of them and kind of put them on YouTube more before I ever came along.
Okay. Well, by the way, he's talking about YouTube. Just a quick shout out for my own channel here, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I have a channel called Getting Out in Life, and it's not really a ham radio channel. And when I speak to people on that channel, I am speaking to non-hams there. So I tend to dumb everything way down to the basics for non-ham to be able to enjoy. So if you watch my videos, I have a handful that are amateur radio, and like my last video that I uploaded was going out to the Fort Worth stockyards and having some fun out there. So it had nothing to do with ham radio. Mm-hmm. But I've been to several of these, and I am just fascinated by the ingenuity of the participants there. And nobody's there to really want to win. They just want to show what they're doing and get ideas from each other. It's a big collaboration effort there. And I'm big into EMCOM, emergency communications. I'm not a technical person. I'm a person that is more about the practical application of radio. And you can't get more practical than with some of these skill kits.
What's y'all's plan for the future for the challenge? Y'all are talking about trying to go to other clubs, or what are your thoughts?
That's a good question, because I mean, each year we kind of get to the point where we've had the club or a club do it until we did this year. This year we decided, it's late enough in the season. COVID is getting less of an issue. Mm-hmm. So let's just jump in and do one. And we just went ahead and chose a location and did it. This will be the first year we didn't have a club kind of sponsor. But Kelly and I've talked about several locations, and I'm open to anyone that's interested, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you go ahead, Michael.
No, and this just speaks for Denton County. The clubs in Denton County, they're all different flavors of clubs. They have different things that they work on. I think Lark, you called like the fun club. They love contesting. They love going out camping and operating radios. You got Dakara, which is big on public service and serving in capacities of bike rides and helping back the Aries program there. Mm-hmm. And all these clubs, they work together constantly. And I think we got a very, very unique situation in Denton County with all the different clubs. And that's what was great about this, was we didn't have to have a club sponsor it, but I think just about every club in Denton County was represented.
That's true. And yeah, the funny thing is all three of us are probably members of all three of those clubs that have been mentioned. Yes. Yeah. So we support Denton County Ham Radio because that's where we live. The idea now is, and I can tell you the reason it wasn't sponsored by a club this year is because somebody procrastinated and
who
and
does that? I don't know.
Did not effectively get the word out and try to get a club to sponsor us. And we got to the point where we were like, man, it's not fair to throw this at a club at the 11th hour. Let's just do it ourselves. We'll make it happen. It's not that big of a deal. We scratched together a bunch of prizes. Scott and I have been working on a Silent Keys estate, and he had quite a few things. Talked to the wife, and she said, yeah, man, use it for, use these gadgets for something ham radio. If you want to give them away as prizes, go right ahead. So that worked out really well for us. So there was, very little financial expense involved in doing the organizing the event. And
even the dog tags that were with the Hamburg Cup, those didn't cost anything either. Last year's winner decided he wanted to add something to the cup, so he added winner's gear and name or call sign and name to each of those dog tags, and said he would continue doing that for however long he is participating.
I really like that idea.
I thought it was kind of a cool way to. Yeah, we're not competitive at all.
We really are. So one of the things that we talked about early on and we continue to talk about is taking the Go Kit Challenge to other clubs, and not necessarily specifically, we don't want any one club to take it over. So Scott and I will be involved in it probably in perpetuity, because the spirit of the challenge is to take it around to all hams everywhere. So you never know. It may show up in Paris. It may show up down at Johnson County. I really want to take it out to Wise County because that's where most of my family and everybody is. So, we want to get it out to these other communities. A lot of our local clubs here in the Metroplex, they have events. They're well organized. They're well attended. Some of these clubs in the rural communities, they may only have a dozen members, if that. And they're still trying to fund the same kind of repeaters that we are and the same kind of technology we are here in the Metroplex, where we may have, in Denton's case, a 300-member club. So there's a tremendous amount of wealth there. So to take some of these events out to them, give them an opportunity to have a cool event that gets section-wide notoriety, and take it to their club, get hams from here in the Metroplex to go out there. They may find someone that has a technical skill that they're in need of and they can learn from. They may gain new members, may find ham radio operators in their local area that just aren't involved in a club. And this might be a way to get those folks involved. So one of the things that we've talked about is just telling clubs and club officers, if your club is interested in hosting this event, we would love for you to contact us, either Scott or myself, and let us talk to you about it and say, yeah, you got the 2023, the 5th annual Go Kit Challenge.
Now, but behind the scenes too, we have not just Kelly and myself. There are 3 others that have been taken from each of the events. That those 5 are voting on where it goes. If somebody says, let's take it, we're only one vote to say that's where it's going, or we're one person saying. So there is a group that's steering. Kelly and I are steering, but the other 3 are helping us in that fact, because they bought into the same concept, which is it doesn't belong to one individual. That's the fun part. How far has it caught on? A little further than what I suspected. We had somebody pipe up on a national channel this last week and said, what's the rules for it? I'd like to maybe do this in San Jose, California. And so that's where I looked at Kelly and said, we don't have any rules. What am I supposed to tell him?
Xerox a copy of a blank piece of paper and say, here you go. Tailored to your choice.
Exactly.
It was kind of funny. The first year we did it, we didn't really have any rules, and we were shooting by the seat of our pants. We had no idea what we were doing or where we were going to go with it. And the one rule that I did put out there was no vehicles. Your vehicle cannot be your Go Kit. Your Go Kit has to be able to be taken into another facility. And, you think about it, a Go Kit's purpose is to be able to take it into, say, a Red Cross shelter where you can set up and provide communications in that way, or maybe you're going to a rural EOC that doesn't have ham radio capabilities already there, and you're going to need to set up some kind of communication system quickly. And so I told them up front, I said, no, we're not going to allow vehicles in the Go Kit Challenge. Well, I got some blowback for that. And they were like, no, we want to see the vehicles. Last year, when the Louisville Amateur Radio Association hosted it, a guy showed up in an amazing small car with antennas like porcupines and a weather station and all of that. And his car was a big hit. People wanted to see, how did you set it up and how did you do it? So this year we decided, okay, we need to have a mobile category separate from the regular Go Kit Challenge, but we want to go ahead and include the vehicles. And I'm sure people have seen in some of the YouTube videos from this year's challenge, we had a Jeep that's very well outfitted and looking really good.
I wanted to buy that Jeep on the spot. I was like, just name your price. I'm going to go and get that cashier's check right now.
Paul won't sell it. Paul won't sell it.
He won't sell it.
I tried.
No, he's
and it's still a work in progress.
Time rebuilding that thing by hand, so he's not going to sell it anytime soon. That's his baby.
Yeah.
I like
And
the idea
so,
of the vehicles. That was
yeah,
it was a fun take, and also having the separate categories because you could do a lot more with
Yeah.
your car, and it'd be easy to
right.
drive up versus setting up a box in the field and making sure you have all the
Mhm.
antennas and everything to it. That's just not instantly okay. I'm here, click, and we're
Correct.
good.
And
Um,
yeah, and that is the interesting thing, but we need to have the flexibility to do both.
yeah.
And that's what we wanted to spotlight. The one of the neat things this year is we even had a couple of non-hams who came out. They heard about us through
Yeah.
various means, and the guy with the trailer with the tent mounted on it and everything, non-ham. He's very much into emergency preparedness. His church is very much into emergency preparedness, but he hasn't gotten a ham radio license, and that's going to be, that's another. This is a tool that we can use to get the word out. We did it in a public park this year. Well, we've always done it in a public park. Actually, all the groups have. But that provides the opportunity for the public to come up and say, "What are you doing? What are all these antennas?"
Be good
And
amateur radio ambassadors and to show
Yes.
them
Yes.
what
Yes.
is our
And
sport about.
even more so than field day, believe it or not.
Yes.
Field day, we put all these massive antennas and all these generators and vehicles all set up just to do field day. And you make it a handful of people, but you do something small where there's a bunch of little stations around and everybody's got it set up. And it really drew a lot of attention and people wanted to know what was going on.
Well, to counter that a little bit with field day, like you said, you got generators, you got antennas, you got guide wires everywhere, you got fielding tape, masking things around. Don't get so close to these things. Don't touch this. It is a little intimidating, and it might drive some of the onlookers away a little bit. But this was
Mhm.
very friendly. Every place kind of had its own table, and it was all self-contained. They just walk up, hey. What'd you do there? What is this about? And everyone was friendly, like, yeah, come over, bring
Right.
the kids.
Well, Nate,
Yeah.
we didn't tell them to social distance either. They just kind of automatically spread
That was
themselves out. Well, and I kind of know why a couple of them did, because last year I'm walking around with like my last 2 tickets, and so that's an awful good looking radio. Prove to me it works. He pulls out his antenna, starts setting this thing up, and sure enough, jumps on there and does an HF contact. Yeah, I did the same thing with the guy with the tent, Frank, this year,
Mhm.
and yeah, he right off the bat made a contact to Albuquerque that the guy's kind of like, man, how much power are you using? You've got a phenomenal signal. He's kind of like, I'm 100 watts on a battery in a park.
Yeah.
And the guy's kind of like, you're kidding. You're 20 over on my meter over here. It's like you're using an amplifier.
Mhm.
Nope.
It's all
And-
about the
Yeah.
how you use the kit that you use. And let's be honest, the antenna is one of the most important parts out there. You could have the
He sold on a
best
Wolf
radio.
River coil.
Yeah, I think I've heard it this way. It's not so much ham radio; it's ham antenna.
Yeah.
You can have a not so great radio, but if you got a good antenna system, it'll make up for it.
Well, let's go around the horn here real fast. Scott, Kelly, how do people get in contact with you if they want to set up their own go box challenge? And if any clubs around our area is interested in hosting.
So my email address is kc5amt@gmail.com. That's Kilo Charlie 5 Alpha Mike Tango. Love to have some folks get interested and let us pick a club to come out and visit for 2023.
Mine's KG5RJR. That's Kilo Golf 5 Romeo Juliet Romeo. And you can just hit me up on QRZ. The link there does pass it through to my email. And I do check the email frequently. Yeah, I check my email.
Michael, man, what's going on? What's coming up on your channel and anything you want to plug?
Honestly, on my channel, I really don't know what I'm going to do until sometimes the morning of. I'm like, oh, let me go explore someplace or do something. Just the whole point of it was, we all got stuck in this COVID funk, and we all got stuck at home, and it was time to start getting out in life. So there came the title of the channel, the name of the channel, and that's pretty much what I do. It's just different avenues of my life. I enjoy hiking and getting out in nature. I enjoy going to festivals. I enjoy ham radio, just a little bit.
Just a little
You'll
bit.
See you'll see a lot of ham. But I always try to make it relative for somebody who may not be into it. And I think that's something as hams, we need to really reach out more to people and not make it all about the technology, but the practical application. And how do you fit into ham radio?
I think the challenge also highlights that too. Thank you all for joining me. This has been an awesome discussion. I'm going to put this up in its own video. I'm going to cut a little bit, and the rest of it, it's going to go up on the channel on its own right. I loved it. Thank you all for joining, and thank you to all my Patreon supporters. You can support me on Patreon. There is a link in the description below. And to all my tankers out there, go forth and conquer. Perfect. And just for the heck of it, record on this computer.
Recording in progress.
Yay! I got it twice, so I can't mess it up.
All right.
Hey, I've got the option to leave the meeting now. That's cool.
Awesome.
It said this meeting is being recorded. Would you like to leave?
Bye.
Bye. I don't know you guys.